どうも、グーテモゲン R です。チキンポリス、続きやっていきたいと思います。はい、前回ですね、ジップを尋問して、そのリストバンドが、前回手に入れたですね、リストバンドがどういうものなのかっていうのをジップから聞き出して、で、ブーボーからではですね、まあ、そのリストバンドが精神病院で使われていたものじゃないかっていう話を聞いたところですね。で、これ。このチラシがその精神病院だね。Call us from Crowville 555-966だね。電話してみるか。待って、電話番号なんだっけ。555-966 555の966。
Hello, you've called the Let There Be Peace Forever mental institution for ill and damaged minds. What can I do for you, sir?
Well, I'd like to inquire about a patient who I believe is being treated at your institution. His name is Albert Wessler.
I'm sorry, sir, but I can't give out that information if you don't have the password given to relatives. Do you have one?
Unfortunately, I don't have that. I'm not a relative. I'm calling from the Clawville Police Department.
Oh, I see. In that case, officer, I'd advise you to visit our institution personally. Our director and I would be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, miss. I guess I'll do that.
We'll welcome you with open arms, sir. Have yourself a beautiful starlit night.
Oh, thanks.
See you soon.
Okay.
So,
we have to go there.
The thought gives me goosebumps.
Chicken bumps aren't good enough for you?
はあはあはあ。鳥肌鳥肌。よし、じゃあ行きますか。あれ、でも出られないんだよね。
So,
It'd be... Sorry for the mess.
Don't worry about it, son.
Thanks.
出られないということはルイスに電話っつってたね。なんだっけな。55593。はいはい。違う。555の93の2。ちょっとまたルイスに手を貸してもらうか。
Hey, Lewis, it's me again.
Oh, hello, Sonny. What's up?
Were you sleeping, pal?
Me? Oh, I wasn't. Anyway, I'm always at your service.
Would you open up a room for Marty?
Naturally, Sonny.
おう、ああ。明日行こうって話
Thanks,
か。
Lewis. I'm not even gonna say it.
I will. You won't be much. Adieu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for the mess, Mark.
Don't worry about it, Sonny.
Thanks.
あ、できるやろうね。これで精神病院に行ける。チャプター4。あ、
I slept like I used to sleep years ago. Like a miner or a soldier. Empty. Dead tired. Then I saw Tessa. My darling little daughter. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't recall her face. I reached out to her, but she just kept getting further and further away. Then I saw Molly. But she wasn't real. Just the ghost of a memory. I'm here, I cried. But all I heard was laughter. Not hers. Who's there? Suddenly, she appeared. Natasha. Just stood there laughing, but her eyes were cold. Then she said something. Painted red, painted red, painted red.
Ah, paint it red か。
That was just a dream, Sonny. Nothing more. I looked at Marty and I saw the same thing in his eyes as he probably saw in mine. It's time to hit the brakes, to turn back, go home and forget about all of this. Of course, I stepped on the gas instead.
だいぶ精神的に追い詰められてない？大丈夫？
Honestly, I wasn't expecting anything good, but this...
Ooh, just like a horror movie.
I was thinking the same.
Appearances can be deceiving.
Let's hope so.
いや、怖えわ、普通に。あー、絵画だ。
This pic...
It's very...
special?
感想出てきてねえじゃねえか。
Even if you manage to escape, there's nothing but hills and forests for 100 miles.
Imagine how many poor lunatic ghosts must haunt those woods.
Ooh, Sonny, you're creeping me out.
定期的に動くの怖いな。ミランダ、あ、この人はさっき電話出た人だね、多分。キリンか。
This guy seems strangely familiar to me.
You don't say. You've been treated here too. That would explain a lot.
Oh, don't be stupid. I'm serious. Take a closer look.
No.
Well?
No, it can't be. Are you telling me it's him? M.B. Davis himself?
I'm sure of it, pal. It seems the gossip was true. The eternal king of jazz in a madhouse.
Oh, no, no, no. The poor devil.
そうか。
We should check in.
そうだね。先にお話を。
Of all the great
待って、
wild ones.
顔が見えねえ。見切れてんぞ。
Greetings, miss.
Is it really you?
Well,
あー、
yes.
Yes, it really is you. The chicken police.
おー、ファン。
I'm afraid so.
Of all that's furry and plumy, that's fantastic.
Miss, we'd like to ask...
Please, don't be scared. I'm just really excited. You know, I've read every book about you and your adventures, and I even collected newspaper articles when I was a little girl.
Indeed.
You can't imagine what an honor it is to
いや
meet you in
そういうのいい
person.
んで、とりあえず早
We
く。
really...
Oh God, oh God, oh God. Take a deep breath, Miranda. Take a deep breath.
Are you okay, miss?
マジで大丈夫。てか、マジで見切れて
Yes,
んだ。
I am. I just needed some air. So, dear detectives, Santino and Martin, what can I do for you?
Well, miss, we have some questions, if you don't mind.
I'd love to answer all of your questions, detectives.
完全にやべえやつじゃん。聞くか。
Say,
はい
miss, what can you tell us about this place?
でかいって。
Our institution was standing even before the Great Meat War, and during the war, it was transformed into a military hospital.
まあ、対
Since
戦の前
then,
にやっぱ
we're relentlessly working on treating.
The place seems pretty empty. Do many people work here?
We have 32 residents and 7 nurses, including me. We also have a 3-person maintenance and cleaning staff, and, of course, the heart and soul of our institution, Dr. Quetzal himself.
I see. Now, this Dr. Quetzal, is he the director here?
Exactly. Director, scientist, researcher, patron, and doctor. And even a...
Quite a guy.
うん、相当優
He
秀だね。
certainly is.
セスオス・ケツアルコアトル。
So who is this Dr. Quetzal exactly?
He's a world-famous researcher of the mind, Mr. Featherland. He published countless books in the fields of psychology and psychotherapy.
心理学と心理療法分野。
Psycho what?
Unraveling the mind. It's the most crucial mission of the century, Mr. McChicken.
That's really good to know.
So this doctor's some celebrity, right? Does he usually meet other important persons?
そうね、イブンとか。
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Well, like Mr. Hobart Wessler, for example.
Ah, yes. That's something you should ask the doctor himself, but unfortunately, I don't think he has time right now.
He's swamped, is he?
Exactly, Mr. Featherland. He is very, very, very busy. All the time.
I thought so. What can you say about this, miss? Have you seen anything like it?
Of course. Our residents wear these for identification. But how did you come by it? They only wear them inside the institution.
Huh. I see.
The wristband does belong to one of our residents. But I'm afraid I'm not allowed to tell you more due to regulations.
Oh, come on, Miranda. It's us, the Chicken Police.
I'm sorry, I can't.
めっちゃ教えたさ。
Miranda, this case is a matter of life and death. Lives are in your hands.
All right. All right. I'll do it. Albert Wessler. The patient's name is Albert Thaddeus Wessler.
Figures. Just as we thought.
Thank you, Miranda. We'll never forget this.
Please, don't make me blush. And don't tell anyone you heard it from me.
Oh, we won't. I promise.
なるほどね。やっぱり。
So when can we talk to Mr. Wessler?
I need to ask Dr. Quetzal. Please wait here.
Thank you.
あれ、アルバート・ウェスラー、死体袋に入れられて捨てられたっつってたけど、はあ、まだ入院してるとか？
It doesn't matter how big a star you once were. Ending up lonely and...
That was very poetic.
Fuck you.
We should go to...
受付にいなくなったんですけど。これ？
This picture.
Well, it must have been made by one of the patients, so it's understandable.
It's the handiwork of our director. He's not only a scientist, but he's a great painter, too.
I see.
Well, it's lovely to have a hobby.
That's right, Marty.
はあ。それはいいんですけど。
Dr. Quetzal will see you.
お、こっちか。
He's waiting for you in his office. Up the stairs, all the way down the hall, until the last
待
door.
ってくれるって。
What a surprise. It's enough to mention Wessler's name and all the doors are open.
I wouldn't want to get mixed up in this, but do you think Albert is in danger?
Danger? What do you mean?
We haven't heard from him since he disappeared, and we're really, really worried.
I see. We don't know yet, miss, but let's hope for the best.
Great wild ones protect him.
やっぱりか。いなくなったんだね。
Where is he?
No idea, Marty.
The smell of all that's furry. I'll never get used to it.
Well, reptiles have a disgusting body odor, Marty, but they feel exactly the same about us.
Exactly.
Great wild ones, you scared the hell out of me.
I already sensed your arrival from afar. You know, snakes have a different sense of smell. And birds used to be our prey once upon a time.
Well, yeah. Luckily, we're living in civilized times.
Lucky. Please take a seat. How can I help you, gentlemen?
院長って感じだね。
Your office is rather Puritan. Simple, I mean.
Ain't that the truth?
Well, yes. I can't let my mind wander from my work. I only keep what's essential in my office.
I see. Makes sense.
他は特にないかな。監督簿っぽいけどね、もはや。さて。
To be honest, gentlemen, your visit is anything but a surprise. I could even say I was expecting it. What an introduction. Please forgive me. I have the bad habit of immediately getting into the middle of things. How very rude of me. My name is Dr. Sessuous Quetzalcoatl, but most call me Dr. Quetzal to keep it simple. The name is Santino Featherland, and this is my partner, Martin McChicken, from the Predatory Division of the Clawville Police Department. Your fame is one step ahead of you.
We're used to it.
Certainly. We have some questions about one of your patients, if you don't mind. We'd like to talk to him, if that's possible. Please be specific, Detective. Look, Doctor, we're too tired to play cat and mouse. Not that snake and chicken sounds any better. Very funny, I must say. Just what I expected from you two detectives. We know you know it's about Albert Wessler, Ibn Wessler's secret twin. Ever since we've said his name, all the doors have miraculously opened. That's what we call a bullseye. Well, yes. Why should I deny it? We're talking about a rather illustrious patient here, who's also a very particular medical case. Now, that's much more interesting. So, are you willing to talk about him? Because Albert, regrettably, has disappeared, and you are police detectives, I have no reason not to talk to you. Of course, I'm at your service. But you must understand, I can't disclose information about my patients. Not even if it's a matter of life and death? Everything's a matter of life and death in here, Detective. This is a hospital, even if it's primarily for the mind, not the body. Still, I'd like to give the impossible a try. Please, Detective, just do your job, and I'll do mine.
じゃあ、尋ねますかね。アルバート・タデウス・
How
ウェス
long
ラー
was
のね
Albert a resident of the institution? For quite some time. His first symptoms surfaced in his teens. Depression, panic attacks,
こう発症してる
and
な。
schizophrenia. Was he brought here immediately after the first
そ
signs
うだ
that
ね、
something
発覚して
wasn't
からす
right?
ぐに連れられてきたのか
You
みたい
know, the biggest problem with an opinion on insanity is that animals are ashamed of it. That's the reason our institution stands out here in the middle of nowhere. Because animals would rather hide what they're afraid to face. I couldn't have said it better myself.
それそうだわ
As far as I know, the Wessler family wasn't exceptionally wealthy. Indeed, they were rather poor, but we offer our services gratis.
成り立ってねえじゃないか
Then
それ
how do you sustain yourselves?
By the grace of the treasury of King Hector III, of course.
国の肝入りだったん
I
だ
wouldn't have guessed that. My family and the royal dynasty had always been on good terms, Mr. Santino.
まあ聞いてみますかね
Dr. Quetzal's a real mystery. But I can turn that to my advantage. I just need to focus
謎
on
だ
the
らけです
strangest
ね
pieces of
有
the
利に働
puzzle.
かせることはできる変なピースに焦点を当てればかそうだね謎が多いいつ病院の患者にな
So
った
when
んで
did
すか
Albert become a resident of your institute? Albert and Hobart, or Ibn as you call him, arrived here almost exactly 4 years ago.
前ねてかヘビって正面から見ると怖いな
Could you describe that day more specifically?
It was not long after New Year's Eve, maybe the first week of the year, if I'm not mistaken. It was sleeting that day. Wind was banging incessantly on the windows. The power was going out for short periods of time.
What was your first impression of them?
I already knew the Wessler name. I knew who they were. Or at least I knew one of them, Hobart Wessler. He was famous. Gangster, moneylender, celebrity, lover.
And Albert?
なるほどね。この時からイブンは有名だったのね。4年前ぐらいから。
He was new to me, an invisible gray ghost. The family had tried to keep his existence a secret.
Why?
なんでない
Because they were ashamed of him, of course, Mr. Featherland. That's how it usually is.
What was your first impression of him?
He was silent, but observed everything that surrounded him. His eyes were constantly moving, never stopped for a second.
Was he afraid?
I wouldn't say so. It seemed to me that he wanted to move into our institution voluntarily. It looked as if he couldn't wait to be here, alone, locked up in silence and darkness.
Didn't you think of that as unusual?
家族と一緒にいるよりここにいたかったって
Of
ことだね
course I did. But who am I to judge? It was rather special treatment.
詳細に執着。どんな
What
ところが
kind
良
of
かったんだい
special treatment did Albert get?
You know, if an institution like ours has to
Oh,
accept a
so
Wessler as a
ギャグで
guest,
すしね
there's bound to be some favoritism.
And complete secrecy, I guess.
Yes, but that's the case for all our patients, Mr. Featherland.
Of course. So in what way did he receive more than the other?
Basically, we don't admit anyone into our institution without a complete and thorough prior assessment. In the case of Albert, we put that aside.
診断しなかった
So you didn't even know if he had anything wrong with him?
Initially, no. He was more of a guest than a patient.
無双かアルバートはあなたとどう接しましたか
How did Albert relate to you?
Albert was immensely sophisticated and polite. So much so that his true emotions and thoughts could not be deciphered.
And that's why you thought of him as an exciting case.
That's right, Mr. Featherland. I see you're starting to get to know me in some way.
I'm just doing my job, Doctor.
You and me both.
ああ多重人格者だったってこと
Are you telling me Albert had multiple personalities?
We found out very quickly that there was no other reason for the cause of his seizures. He had a cold and calculating personality who sometimes, especially on stormy days, took the reins over their shared mind.
なるほどね怯えてるアルバートの性格と冷酷で計算高い性格のアルバート二重人格だ多重人格二重人格なのかなで嵐の日にはその冷酷で計算高い方が出てく
He
る
had these seizures from the beginning.
Yes, Mr. Featherland, but they started to intensify after Albert left our institution for the first time.
He did what? Left the institution.
Oh, yes, Mr. Featherland. Albert left the institution on several occasions until the last time, when he...
Quetzal's not only very observant, but he's addicted to details. I must focus on that if I want to get closer to the truth. Focus. Addicted?
細かいことへのこだわり じゃあ一番上かな。初めて施設から外出したのはいつかで、その理由は
When and why did Albert leave the institution for the first time?
It was about 2 years ago. Mr. Hobart Wessler appeared and demanded we let his brother go free. Naturally, we obliged. We had no idea if we'd ever see him again.
But you did.
He returned the same day. Albert was ecstatic. He was unrestrained. I could almost say happy.
出て行って速攻帰ってきたよと。
That was unusual for him.
そうだね、冷静っていうか怯えてる時もあるし、ね。
I had never seen him like that before, Mr. Featherland. He just smiled and stared at the empty wall for hours.
Did he ever tell you what happened to him outside?
Of course he did. Albert and I had a good relationship. He was working on a painting for his brother.
まあじゃあ入り口にあった絵はアルバト
Was
が
it
描
a
いたのか。
painting of a lovely lady
あ、違う
cat?
の。
Oh, exactly. So you already knew about that.
キャッツエンコの絵を描いたのはアルバト
Yes,
だった
Dr. Quetzal. I've seen it.
てかあれ絵かよ。すげえな。なるほどね。絵画を集中すべきかと細かいことへのことあり。一番上か。
So Albert left on many occasions to continue working on the painting.
Exactly, Mr. Featherland. Every time he came back, he was like a different person. But unfortunately, his seizures also multiplied and became more dangerous.
More dangerous.
Albert was hurting himself. And on one occasion, he even tried to hurt me. It was unprecedented. It seemed his confined personality.
Do you think the painting caused it?
Not the painting, Mr. Featherland.
But its subject.
Exactly. He was obsessed. Right until that fateful day when he returned to us for the last time.
What exactly happened that day, Doctor?
It wasn't Hobart who brought his brother back that day, but two of his gorillas. Not literally, I mean. And Albert was in a terrible, terrible state.
What happened to him?
I don't like to talk about that, Miss.
It could be vital to the case, Dr. Quetzal. Don't back down.
Oh, you're right. There's no use turning back now. So, Albert's tongue was torn out, or cut off, I don't know exactly, and he was blinded in one eye, or rather, one of his eyes was missing entirely.
So you're saying Albert was brought back?
Yes. And they didn't give any explanation as to what had happened. They simply told me it was some kind of accident.
Dr. Quetzal is cold and professional, but he's also very confused. Maybe it's cruel, but I must...
混乱している。傷の話。
Maybe it's not easy for you to talk about it, but
I'm not that kind of doctor, Mr. Featherland. But even I could determine his tongue was either cut out or bitten off, and his eye was gouged out.
but there's no doubt it wasn't an accident.
I don't believe it was, Mr. Featherland.
I totally agree.
そりゃそうだ。で、集中して何が
Concentrate, Doctor. What do you think happened?
I'm sure it was Hobart. He ordered his men to mutilate poor Albert.
But why would he do that?
Maybe Albert saw something he could accidentally reveal.
To whom? The four walls? A couple of crazies? You?
To anyone, Mr. Featherland.
I don't think it's that simple, Doctor. But thank you for your honest opinion.
You're welcome, Detective.
で、それからどうなったんですか、アルバート。
What happened then? How did Albert disappear?
そうか。そんなボロボロだったらすぐ出ていくってこ
A
とでき
few
ないしね。
weeks later, Hobart came to visit Albert one more time. Albert had been in terrible condition by then. We even had to transfer him to another cell.
What did Hobart do during the visit?
He didn't do anything. He just sat and watched his brother, who was in an almost vegetative state by then.
Couldn't you manage to draw anything out of him? You or Hobart?
Nothing. For a while, he was trying to signal something. Perhaps he was too afraid. And most likely his fingers had been broken too, so he couldn't even write.
Do you think Hobart could have killed Albert?
It's horrible to say it, but I'm sure of it.
How did he disappear in the end? Did someone come for him?
そうね。で、どうなっ
That's what's most eerie about it all, Mr. Featherland. He simply disappeared. His door, which only I had a key for, was open.
Did anyone see anything?
No one. We interrogated the staff, even the patients. He simply vanished off the face of the wilderness. We don't know what happened to him.
Unfortunately, I have a hunch. Thank you, Doctor. You've been a great help.
Oh, well, I'm glad I could be of help. But please, I now must attend to my work.
We understand, Doctor. Thank you.
尋問欄。お、高いんじゃない？真の刑事。OK。なんとなく、アルバートに何が起きたかっていうのは分かったっぽいね。
Sorry, but I still can't believe.
Neither can we.
You can't imagine how wonderful it is that I...
Miss, those books aren't really...
Don't even tell me. No. I don't want to know.
No, I didn't mean...
Leave it to me, Sonny. I'm good at this.
No, I thank...
We won't either, then.
We're happy to bring you joy, miss. Anytime.
なるほどね。じゃあ、ちょっとまた聞けることあるかな。
Tell me, Doctor, do you know Madame Zavas?
Just like everybody else, I've heard of her. But I never had the pleasure of meeting her in person. I'm sure she's an interest.
Oh, you can be sure about that. I'd gladly get you two together if I had the chance. A spare cell would suit her very much.
人をファイヤーして焼き鳥にされるとこだったしね。
Is that so?
As it turns out, she likes small, narrow, secret places.
Oh, I see. What a coincidence.
違うか。どこだろうな。上が開かないから、まだここでやることがあるね。話してみようか。
That's quite shocking information.
I think you understand why we kept it a secret. If it wasn't for Mr. Wessler's demand, we'd never let any of our patients walk freely outside our
突然と姿を消したっての
institution.
はやばいね。
Then the accident happened.
Accident? Ha! We didn't believe it, not for a second. After Albert came back to us, horribly mutilated, he was different.
でもなんか、それ本当にアルバートだったのかって気になるね。イブと入れ替わったんじゃないか。
If someone got one of his eyes poked out and his tongue torn out, he'd be different, but not like this. Albert was a different...
We believe you, Doctor. So, can we take a look at Albert's cell?
I'd rather call it his room. Mr. Wessler lived in exceptional circumstances.
Thanks to the Wessler name, I guess.
Yes. Well,
I hope you don't mind if we take a look around in.
that's not going to bother.
OK。
Well, that's
What?
surprising.
I've never seen a cell like this before, that's for sure.
It seems that being a Wessler gets you privileges.
And a healthy dose of danger.
Mostly that, yeah. Let's take a good look around. I'm sure we'll find some answers here. I can almost smell them.
Well, I smell paint, ink, plaster, some kind of oil, aging paper, slight smell of rat, and great expectations.
What the dickens?
Unmistakable. Yeah.
This place is bad for you, pal. But if you've already jump-started your beak holes, then sniff out the solution.
I'm on it, Boss Bird.
なんかあるっぽいけど。まあ、ここから出ていくってのは無理だろうからな。ある。チキンポリス。ハンドフルオブワッフレス。ウォーフレス。なんだろう。独房っていうか、すげえ豪華だな。まあまあまあまあ。はい。じゃあ、いい感じに情報集まってきたかな。イブン・ウェスラー、アルバート・ウェスラーでナターシャ・キャッツエコ。何が起きたのかっていうのは、そうですね。ちょっとまだまだはっきりしないことも多いですけど、ちょっとね、調べていきたいと思います。では、今回はここまで、次回はね、この続きからやっていきたいと思います。では、さらば。